This is Tim with Death by Metal STL, and I'm talking to
Rock from 36 Crazy Fists.
There we go. What's been the reaction on the new album?
We've only released 2 songs so far because the album comes out on the 29th.
Right.
But good, positive. Yeah, man, it's been great. We're playing them live too, so it's been fun to have some new material in the set as well. And yeah, everything's been good so far.
How's the tour been?
Yeah, killer. I think we're 2 weeks in now, and this is the 11th night of the 11 straight. So now we got 2 days off tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, great. You know, we've been longtime friends with Devil Driver, so done multiple tours with them in Iran and Europe, and it's been about 5 years, I think, since we had all been together. So we've been having fun, hanging out, and a lot of good camaraderie. There's young bands on here too that are just kind of getting their legs under them. So we see the old excitement in their eyes, the old wily veterans ourselves. A lot of gray beards on our side, but it's good, man. We've been having fun.
That's awesome, man. What do you guys do when you're off time? You're not touring, and you're on tour though.
When we're not touring?
No, when you're on tour, what do you do when you're off time? Do you go visit sites, or do you just sleep and chill out?
I do like to venture out a little bit. I'm not too ambitious on the days off though, because I think it's a time to kind of catch up on sleep mostly.
Right.
And I try to usually go see a movie or something, you know, and I really want to see that It movie.
Yes.
It movie, but I don't think it comes out till next week, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, nothing too extravagant. Just sit around in the hotel, watch the Sports Center. I don't know.
Yeah, just chill out.
Yeah.
When making the album, is it a joint collective? I mean, does one person write the lyrics and one person comes up with the music, or is it a joint collective with all the band?
Well, everybody adds their own 2 cents into it, but I do all the vocal melodies, all the lyrics, everything that has to do with singing. That's my department.
Right.
As far as like the music goes, our guitar player Steve, he does everything initially, like programs, drums, blah blah blah, just for demo purposes. And then once we all listen to it for a sec, then the drummer and bass player come in and put in their stuff. Okay. So it's a group collective, but it starts with 2 people.
Right. Do you come up with the album covers also, or who does that?
I do all the, well, I didn't create the art, but the art comes from the visions in my head,
right,
so to speak. So yeah, it was my idea, and then we pick an artist, and then we kind of try and explain and have them translate it in their skill.
What's of all the albums that you've done over the years? What's some of your favorite songs to play?
Boy, I mean, I guess it kind of depends. Like certain songs that I would never want to practice, just because they're old and they've been played a million times, like Blood Work and Serious Theory. But when they're played live, it's fun still, because that's what people would. I mean, those are 2 of the more successful songs for us. So playing them live, super fun. Playing them in practice, listening to it outside of the live room, never. So it's kind of a weird thing, but I like playing the new stuff, to be honest. Just because it's got fresh, you know. And even though people don't really know any of it, and I understand that, because when I come to see bands I want to hear the songs I like.
Correct, yeah.
But I also, being in a band, I also understand when they are playing new stuff that it's more fun to play the new stuff when you haven't been, you know, having those songs under your belt for years and years. It's still pretty fresh. Like we're playing 5 new songs right now, and our record's not even out.
Right, yeah.
So that's kind of weird. Like most bands don't do that, but we've always kind of done that.
Right.
So it's been fun playing the new stuff.
Of all the stuff that you guys, or all the places that you toured, what's some of your favorite places that you've been to and like to visit?
We went to South America and South Africa last year, 2 years ago for Africa, but last year South America.
How was South Africa?
It was killer. I mean, I know Dez I talked to Dez, he didn't really enjoy it as much, I don't think. But the people that we went to with were really great. And I understand what Dez was saying. I mean, he was talking about the poverty level there is...
Oh, it's horrible.
It's very eye-opening. So there's like certain pockets that it's like, just like any city in America where, you know, it's flourishing. And you get out of that and it's just straight up District 9. I mean, it's kind of hard to look at. So on that side, it was opening experience, but just meeting the people and knowing I was in Africa was a trip. So
Right.
I really enjoyed it.
Do you ever, with the newer bands getting on tour with you, do you ever give them some kind of advice, or do you?
I got a specific story. Many years ago here at Pops, we were out with a band called Catherine, and all of them were like 20, 21 years old.
Right.
And they'd never been to a strip club. And I was like, well, we're going to go over to the strip club after the show. Come on with us. And this one kid, Jesse, I remember specifically, I was like, all right, man, we're going to get up to the meat rack, get your money out. Whatever you do, don't touch them. You know,
Right.
You can't touch the girls.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. So I put this dollar down, and we're sitting there, and girl comes out, walks right over to him, straddles him, takes his hands and puts them right on her tits. And he's looking at me like, what? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I guess you can do it here. I don't know. That doesn't happen everywhere, but
Right.
yeah, as far as like, no, I think everybody's got to learn their own way for the most part. But when it like we got 5 bands on this package, and everybody's hanging pretty tightly.
Right.
2 weeks in now, everybody knows each other. The first week's kind of weird, If you don't know any of the bands, you just kind of, hey man, you don't really talk to them.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the way it is. But second weekend now, everybody's kind of broing down and having fun. And yeah, so if there's any advice to be had, it's just don't touch the strippers.
Yeah, do not touch the strippers. You don't want to touch some of the strippers. But
that old man.
oh my God, we were just over there for lunch. It was just,
Oh yeah,
it was creepy.
It's always a creep factor.
Oh my God, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's where you head.
Yeah.
So
It's almost like you playing the Vaga.
But it's like, I always ask this question to everyone, but like when Metallica and Slayer and Suicidal and Possessed and all these bands, and even before them, and they've lasted 30 to 40 years now. Do you think with the industry nowadays, do you think that newer bands can last that long? Or do you think that it's really hard for them to do it? Because I know Hatebreed and of course Double Driver and you guys and Lamb of God and whatever, you guys have lasted for years. But bands coming out nowadays, do you think they'll be able to last like you guys, or?
I mean, there's always a new model, right, to find and make these things work, because the old model is dead,
Yeah.
the way this business is. I think so. I mean, selling t-shirts is real big, and, having less crew, and doing more multitasking in your job. I tour manage, I do all the interviews, I drive. We don't have a huge crew. We can't afford it. So I think that, like, in the beginning, we had all these ideas, like, oh, you can tech for me, and blah, 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 blah. No, man, you can't do that. So I think it's possible, of course, I think it's possible, but it's definitely a difficult industry to make money in. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Luckily, we've been around long enough that at each show, somebody's buying t-shirts, and that goes right to our pocket. And it's one of the last things in this business that bands should really make sure they own, because once you sign to a label, you don't own it. Nobody's really buying physical, and there's some digital sales, but it's not like it was.
Right.
So your t-shirts, you gotta hold on to your merchandise, and of course you gotta get a decent guarantee. So the days of playing for beer and pizza are over for sure.
Definitely.
I can't function that way. So, and I don't think anybody can.
No.
I look back at the early days when we were making like a couple $100 a night, and I don't even know how we got to the next town back then. Luckily we did, but I mean, when you're opening for the bands in the early days, like these guys are, I don't know what they make, but it's not much.
No, some of them don't even make anything at all.
Yeah, some of them have to buy on just to get on. So
just to get on.
Yeah, it's a tough deal, and I'd like to say that there is still ways to do it, through social media and things of that nature. But
do you think if you had social media back then when you first started, do you think, how big you would be?
I don't know, because we're awful at it. We don't really do much with it, and some bands really do.
Right.
So, yes, I do think it's a great tool if you use it correctly, and if you know how to use it, because obviously it's a proven thing for certain bands.
Right. What's one of the, what's one of the techniques for making a good album, a solid album? What do you think that goes into, like, when you're making a new album that you just did, and you're pushing, you're trying out 2 or 3 other songs, new songs? What do you think is the inspiration of making a good album?
That's a good question. I mean, not ripping anyone off is the number one rule in our camp.
Right.
So, you hear some of these riffs that are just rehashed, and nothing wrong with it. I mean, imitation's the best sign of flattery, right? But I think just being honest, finding your signature sound, trying to hone in on something that makes your band more unique than the next band, or separating yourself from the pack, I think is an important thing. And if you love Slayer and you play music just like Slayer, well, I'm not mad at you. I love Slayer too.
Right.
But I think that for us personally, when we go in to write an album, we're trying to hone in on the things that make our band different than the other bands.
Right. And I think there's a lot of copycats nowadays. Definitely the scene's way too much. There's way too many bands because everybody's creating, seems like you go to the basement, don't create an album, and it's just like, that's not fair because you guys started when you can't do that. There's no computers back then when,
right.
You had cell phones that were big as a brick and
right.
You didn't know how to use it. But I think that hurts the industry nowadays. I think that really defines the moment of
yeah.
And I think a lot of times it's like when touring bands nowadays or with local bands, and to me, when they were like, oh, we went on this tour, and I'm like, that's not how it works. It's like back then you guys were just pushing your music. You want to tour, but you just push that music out. You just do whatever you can to give it out because you want people to listen to it. You didn't give a shit if it was whatever. You just wanted someone to listen to the damn thing,
right?
To get experience. But with all that said and done, with your longevity and things like that, what was your inspiration to do all this and to create this like band and do the things you've been doing?
I saw Metallica in 1988. That is definitely the turning point for me when I wanted to get into a band. I was in 8th grade. And so I think group collectively, all of us love Metallica. That's the original reason we got into a metal band.
Right.
So that's basically it. I mean, Metallica and then Alice in Chains, those are the two bands that I listened to the most growing up. Bay Area thrash stuff. I think that I would say I know I'm in a band because of Metallica.
Have you ever met any of those guys?
No, I just saw Metallica in Seattle though, right before the tour started.
Did you?
Unreal. I don't know what they paid for their firework display, but it was better than any 4th of July parade I've been to. It was sick.
Metallica is one of my all-time favorite groups. Of course, Slayer is and whatever, but it's the meet and greets nowadays with just them. It was $3,000.
Yeah, shit.
I mean, what do you? As far as a musician and you're a veteran and been around, what's your take on that? I mean, $3,000 is,
that seems pretty steep.
To me, it's really steep. I'm kind of like, God.
I don't live in that world, It's like a totally different world.
Even if I had $3,000 to blow, I don't know if I could justify I like to meet James, but
I don't know what they need it for.
No, they don't.
They could charge $100 and be fine and make it cooler for their fans, but. It's the ultimate fan experience. Is it worth $3,000 to somebody? It is, obviously, because they fill it up, I'm sure.
Right.
But that's not the world I live in, so it seems steep to me.
I think it seems.
I got tickets through the Gojira guys.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go backstage and see them.
Really?
They aren't allowed to have any guests backstage. I think that's pretty lame in an arena.
But you're not. You're a musician. You've been around for.
Yeah.
They
have like completely closed. Backstage for the bands.
Other than that, have you ever been to places like that where you just you couldn't go backstage? You're like, wait a minute,
We played Soundwave a few years back, and I'm gonna say it because I don't know the band. I don't give a shit about them. But everybody all day on our stage could stand side stage, from our band to Alice in Chains to Lamb of God. 9 Inch Nails headlined the stage. Everybody off.
What?
Yeah, all the bands, everything. I was just like, it's not a big deal. I don't lose sleep over it. But I just think about myself, if I was ever in the Metallica, the 9 Inch Nails world, why would that even matter to me? That all of a sudden now the wings of the stage are closed, because why? Especially, I could see just the random people, but the people that actually played that stage earlier, seems weird to me. Certain things in this industry boggle my mind.
That confuses me because it's like we went and last year I saw Rob Zombie, and I know his wife. I don't know Rob a whole lot, but I know Sherry. and she saw me out in the audience. I was yelling at her, and she was like, "You come up here." So we went and stood on side stage, but they didn't care. There was like 20 people on each side just hanging out. They're all friends and whatever.
Yeah, I've been side stage with Rob Zombie.
He don't care. I mean, she was standing there holding my hand, but she was just like, I was like, are we gonna get in trouble with her? She goes, no, never. But some places that I've been that, like, I mean, they're like security's just like really rampant. Like, Black Label Society security was really horrible. Those guys were like, like he was a president.
Right.
And it was just like,
mentality.
Yes, it's like you can't even look at him. Don't look at him. Don't. If you don't have a meet and greet, it is what it is. But what's
Yeah, that's a different world now. I'm from Alaska. There's no flash. You get your ass kicked if you try to act like that where I come from.
Oh yeah, you.
So the rock and roll, the rock star vibe, that would never exist in Alaska.
Right.
It just doesn't.
Is there any like companies and so forth that's helping you do this tour?
Nope. Well, I mean, Spine Farm is our label, and they. I don't think so. I don't think they held out. No.
Because you do it yourself.
Yeah.
Is it better to do it yourself? There's a lot of bands like Obituary and things like that. I think they use a little bit of labels to help push the album a little bit.
Exactly.
But
emotional, you need them.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need it. You don't have to have them, but it's a lot harder without them. Because before we did the last album and signed to Spine Farm Universal, we were thinking about doing it all ourselves. We were like, shit, if we sold 50,000 albums worldwide on iTunes, it's a lot of money right into your pocket.
It is. They take a little cut.
Yeah, take a little cut. But when we did get the deal with Spine Farm, and I really do like Spine Farm, it's the best relationship we've had with any label. I remember the setup to the album and all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that I wasn't thinking about prior to that. It would be very difficult to get the promotion, to get into the magazines, to get on the big festivals.
Right.
All that stuff, they're still needed. You still, at least in our level, we still need them.
We've been pushing it on the magazine for, oh my God, since we heard about it coming here. And we've been personally pushing your new album. We got it on a press release a while back, and they sent some stuff to us, and then we listened to it. We've been pushing it for a long ass while. But we interviewed, of course, you guys, and we did Double Driver just recently, and then we did Cane Hill, and then I think that a lot of bands, they don't have labels, and they reach out to us. They're big bands like Obituary and stuff like that. They're all sending me stuff all the time because I know Terry Butler, but he's like, please push us, because we don't
Who's
have.
putting out Obituary records?
I think they are. I think they're doing it all themselves, I think.
Yeah, good for them, man.
So I don't know.
They're
I mean,
legends.
they. I talked to him a while back, and I said, do you have anybody like a record label? And he goes, nah. He goes, we're doing it by ourselves.
I mean, it's doable, and
it's hard
these days. The more the labels are going to become obsolete because there is a new model. There's a way to do it on your own, but you have to subcontract out some PR people. You got to do some distribution. I mean, the physical sale is still wanted by certain people. Look at vinyl. Vinyl's coming back pretty damn nicely.
It is.
And not that it ever went away, but when you see vinyl in like Urban Outfitters and like Best Buy,
half price books, stuff like that.
Lots of so it's needed. It's still needed to have the distro and the PR if you want to get your name out there. If
you have to
keep on banging on that door.
Right, you have to hire a PR person, and they have to reach out to every identity. And like I said before, I was told once, I was like, well, we don't have a shitload of likes on the magazine or whatever, but we reach. And she goes, I don't care about the likes, I care about who you reach.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we reach like 160, 180,000 on Twitter, and she's like, that's what I want.
Cool.
Push this shit out.
Yeah, I mean, you need. When we were thinking about doing it on our own, PR alone, you probably can't afford it.
No.
I mean, ours, luckily, is in-house from Spine Farm.
Yeah.
So.
And they pay somebody to sit there and just push the damn thing out.
We got, what is it, Atomic PR? What are they called? Amy and John?
Yeah.
Great people.
Oh, yeah.
Probably just messed up their company name, but.
That's fine.
I mean, I'm sitting here talking to you guys. I didn't set it up.
No, I got a hold of Nuclear Blast.
No.
And they or Napalm, I'm sorry, and a person that got a hold of me, she got a hold of me through John, and then and that's how I got it. And I was just like, I didn't know if you were a Napalm or not. just because they're working for Napalm doesn't mean that you're on Napalm.
Right.
I found that out a long time ago. Like they're subcontracted out to whatever. It's hard to find out. But what's real quick? What's your first concert you ever went to? Metal concert, and what's your first metal album you ever bought?
First concert I ever went to, 1986, Journey.
Okay.
Anchorage, Alaska. Saw Back-to-Back Nights, Raves on Radio Tour. Awesome. First metal album I ever bought was Quiet Riot, Mental Health.
Really?
Yeah.
And then where's the tour go and where does it end?
Go to Fayetteville, Arkansas after this tonight, and then it ends in Lubbock, Texas, I think in like 11, 12 days, something like that.
And where does everyone go to buy merch and get all that stuff?
Well, merchnow.com is our online, and then right here at the show.
There you go. You got to see 36 Crazy Fists. It's awesome. Thank you for doing the interview, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Likewise.
All right, thank you so much, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.